Hello and welcome. In this video, I will be teaching you how to bring the 3D Cross SVG box and the layered mandala card into Silhouette Studio. Prepare them to cut and give you the correct cut settings for your machine. There is a separate video available below in the description for assembling the 3D Cross SVG files. Now let's get started. Here we are in Silhouette Studio. I'm working in the business edition, so it might look just slightly different than yours, but we're going to go up to the top menu bar and we're going to select the file menu, and then we're going to choose open, and then we're going to start with the paper cross box. So we're going to choose the SVG version of the file. If you are working in the basic edition of Silhouette Studio, you will need to open the DXF file to cut it. But if you're working in designer edition or business edition, you'll want to use the SVG file. These files are going to be saved wherever you downloaded them to on your computer at the time of purchase. Once you select the file, you're going to say OK, and it's going to bring it up on your screen. And you can see that I have some things saved off of my canvas. So I'm going to zoom out just so that you can see them. So you can see I have the yellow vellum layers, and then I have the pink layer and the purple layer here on my canvas. The purple layer is just slightly bigger than the pink layers. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to set our line colors to cut. So we are going to scroll up to the menu at the top, and there is an artist palette up here, and it's called Select by Color. We're going to choose that artist palette, and then the Select by Color box is going to open. And for now, we're going to choose by fill because these layers are all filled, but there's no line color for them. And that's how we're going to cut. We're going to cut by line color. So by revealing the fill colors, it's showing us all the colors in our project. The yellow, the pink, and the purple. The next thing we're going to need to do in the Select by Color box is deselect the checkbox that says Only Shapes on Media. When we do this and then we select by color, it will also include everything in the gray area off of your canvas. So now you can see if we select the yellow box, if we click on it, it's going to select everything in our project that has the fill color of yellow. And this is just an easier way of changing our line color. So we select that box, and then we're going to scroll over to the top menu bar in the upper left corner, and you'll see on the left is the fill color, and just next to that is the line color. We're going to select the drop down arrow next to the line color, and that's going to bring up our color palette, and in there is this eyedropper selection tool, and we're going to scroll over to our yellow color and we're going to click on it, and now you can see what has happened. You have your yellow fill color, but our line color has changed from black to yellow, and that's what we're going to do for the rest of this project. We want to change all of our fill colors to match our line color. So what we're going to do next is we're going to select the pink fill, and you can see that it worked because all the bounding boxes show up around all the items in our project that are pink. So now we'll go up here again to the line menu and we'll hit the drop down arrow, and then we're going to again choose the eyedropper tool. We're going to scroll down to our fill color pink and select that, and you can see that the line color changed to pink. And then we're going to repeat that step for the purple layer. So we're going to select the purple layer, and all of the items have a bounding box around them. Then we're going to select the drop down menu next to line color, choose the eyedropper tool, and select the color. And now all of our purple items are also purple. At this point, we're going to go ahead and head over to the send menu. Once we get to the send menu, we need to go ahead and set our cut settings. So since the pink item is already on our canvas, we're going to load 65-pound cardstock on a light grip cutting mat. We're going to load that into our machine. We can head over here, and under the send menu, you're going to see 4 menus: simple, line, fill, and layer. We're going to select the line menu, and when you do that now, you should see all of your colors from your project show up. Now you're also going to see a black box on here, and on my cut files, all of the score lines are set to the color black, so we never have to change them. They're already going to be set. So you have the yellow layer, the pink layer, the black layer, and the purple layer. Since we have the pink layer on our cutting mat right now, we're going to deselect yellow, and we're also going to deselect purple. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go to this pink layer here, and we're going to select the drop down menu. And if you have not already done so, you can go to the bottom here and do add new material type and set up a custom cut setting. I'm going to give you the settings for that in just a minute, but for now I'm going to type in my setting. I already have a custom cut setting, so I'm going to use the 65-pound cardstock cut setting. I'm going to select select that. And when I do that, you're going to see the cut settings show up here at the bottom for that custom cut setting that I made. And so when I do these detailed or intricate cuts on my Silhouette Cameo, I am using a blade depth of 6, a force of 25. I'm going 1 pass, and the speed is set to 5. I also have my line segment overcut checked off. It's turned on. And if you go under the More menu underneath that, I have my start and my end for the line segment overcut set to 0.50 for both the start and the end. So I usually go anywhere between 0.35 and 0.50. I just tested this and 0.50 works good on this project. So once all your settings are there, you're going to select save, and then I'm going to go ahead and close out of this because I already have mine set. So there's my 65-pound cardstock cut setting I just gave you. Now let's go here under the black. This is going to be black as always on my project score lines. So I'm going to select the drop down arrow under the black, and now I'm also going to click in the search bar and I'm going to insert a 6 because I know that I also have the 65-pound cardstock score setting. So I'm going to select that, and then you'll see that my cut settings down here have changed to score. So my blade depth for the score lines, these are a light kiss cut just so that it folds nicely for you. My cut settings for scoring are a blade depth of 1, a force of 6, I do 1 pass, and the speed is set to 5. There's no line segment overcut on these score lines. I don't usually do that. What I normally do then at this point is I normally just turn off the cut lines, which is the pink, and I score my project first. If you uncheck the box and then you recheck it, your settings will show up down here at the bottom. Every time you touch the check mark, your settings change. So all you want to do here is just check and uncheck the box, and then you'll see down here my score settings have showed up. So there you are, the blade depth of 1, force of 6, passes 1, speed 5. So now at this point I would go ahead and send my project to score, and then when it's done scoring, do not unload it from the machine, just leave it loaded. And then we're going to go up here and we're going to deselect the score lines and we're going to reselect the pink cut lines. Remember, we're working on the pink cross, so we'll reselect that, and then your cut settings show up here at the bottom, and then we're going to go ahead and send that. Once this is done cutting, we're going to go back to our design menu, and then we're going to go ahead and remove the pink project from the canvas, and we are going to add the purple onto the canvas, and then go back over to the send menu. Now we're working on the purple layers, so we're going to deselect that pink that we just did. We're going to come down here and we're going to select the purple layer, and again, these are the cut settings, so we're going to go ahead and select the 65-pound cut settings that I gave you earlier, and there it says 65-pound cardstock cut setting, and then we already have set the score lines. So what we'll do is we'll turn that off. We're going to turn on the score lines, the black ones, and then just double check that your cut settings are right on the bottom, and we're going to again load your 65-pound cardstock on a clean light grip mat into your machine, and then we're going to go ahead and click send, and it's going to create a light kiss cut where all of these black score lines are. When you're done with that step, leave the mat in the machine because we're going to go ahead then and send the cut lines. So when this is done, we're going to deselect the black score lines, we're going to reselect the purple cut lines, and you can see here 65-pound cardstock cut setting. So that worked just fine, and then our cut settings are right down here, and we're going to click send. When this is done cutting, we'll go ahead and unload it from the machine, and then we're going to go back over to our design menu. At this point, we're going to take the purple items off of the mat, and then we're going to highlight the yellow vellum layers. We're going to drag those onto the mat. My vellum is 8.5 by 11, so I'm going to put these as close to the upper left corner as I can, and then they should cut fine. If you want to feel, confident about that, you can go up here to page setting, and you can change this to 8.5, and then change the height to 11. And then you can see that the canvas on our mat has changed to 8.5 by 11, and you can see those yellow vellum crosses fit in there just nice. So now we're going to go back to the send menu, and now we're going to go up here to the yellow. We're going to select that box, deselect the purple, make sure only yellow is selected, and then we're going to click the drop down arrow, and then there's already a setting for vellum. This is not a custom cut setting, it's already in there. Just click in your search box and then press V, and you see there's a vellum setting there. This is the one that I use, it works fine. We're going to look at our cut settings, but that's it for the vellum. Make sure your vellum is loaded on a light grip mat, loaded into your machine. You've got your vellum material selected, and our cut settings settings look right, and we'll go ahead and click send. So that's it for this box. That should cut all the pieces that you need for the box. Now let's go back to our design menu and let's click on a new canvas, and then let's go up to file and we'll do open. And now we're going to click on the layered 3D paper cross card, the SVG version if you're working in the designer or the business edition. If you're working in the basic edition of Silhouette Studio, you're going to want to select the DXF file. And so we're going to select it and we're going to click OK. And I'm going to zoom out because it doesn't all show you everything that's in this file. Okay, so here we go. You'll see the 3 layered crosses, and there's also this blue cross. This is the background for these 3 layers. We're also going to go through the setting of the line colors here. So we're going to go up to our color palette at the top, select by color. Then we're going to choose by fill. We're going to deselect the only shapes on media. That'll allow us to select everything that's off of the canvas. So we're going to start out. Now this file is a little tricky because there's 2 different yellows, and you can see that when you do by fill, there's a darker yellow and a lighter yellow. So the darker yellow is this cross. The lighter yellow is the envelope and the card backing. So, and you can see that if you just click on it, it selects both of those items. So now we'll go up here to the line panel, choose the drop down arrow, choose the color selection tool, and then just hover over that lighter color yellow and click it. And you'll see up here in the line panel that it changed your line color for these items to the matching yellow. Now we're going to go ahead and do the blue. So you can see when you clicked on that, it selected both of the crosses and the words "He is risen." So we're going to go back up to the line panel. We're going to choose the color selection eyedropper, hover over one of the blue items and select it, and then you can see that it changed the line color there. And now we need to do the dark yellow, and there's only one item that's the dark yellow. Choose the drop down arrow, choose the eyedropper tool, hover over the yellow and select it, and then we're going to do this light pink color that selected the one cross, and then we're going to click the drop down arrow, select the eyedropper tool, bring it down, select the pink color, make sure it changed, and then we're good. So we can close this color selection panel now. The score lines for my projects always come in black, so we don't need to change them. And now we can go ahead and head over to the send. Just a couple pointers on the materials that I'm using for this project. So the crosses, because they're a detailed, intricate cut, I'm using 65-pound cardstock. The card backing, I went ahead and used 65-pound cardstock, but I think it's a little nicer if you go with like an 85 or higher weight cardstock. It's just nicer to have a thicker cardstock on your backing. The He is Risen came out beautifully. I cut it out of cardstock. I would go ahead and take the He is Risen off of the card. The order I would probably cut this in is I would take the card backing off of my canvas, and all of these items are being cut from 65-pound cardstock. So I'm going to start with the blue color, cutting that first. For these intricate cuts, we're going to use 65-pound cardstock. I've loaded the blue colors on my mat, and I'm going to head to the send menu. We're going to choose the line menu, and then you can see all the colors in your project are going to show up here. We're going to deselect all the colors except for the blue. And then what we're going to do is we're going to select the drop down arrow, and we are going to choose custom cut setting that we set up earlier, and it's 65-pound cardstock cut setting. And then once you have that selected, you can double check your settings down here. For the blade depth 6, the force is 25, the passes is 1, and speed is 5. And we're going to load our 65-pound cardstock on a light grip mat. We're going to load it in our machine, and then we're going to go ahead and click send. And then when this is done cutting, we're going to go back out to the design menu, and we're going to highlight those items and take them off our mat. So let's just start with the pink one. And we're going to head over to the send menu. We're going to deselect the blue, and we're going to select the pink. We're going to choose the drop down arrow. We're going to choose the 65-pound cardstock cut setting. And then you can see down here that our settings is the blade depth is 6. So make sure everything else is deselected and you only have the pink up. I used white for this layer. Load your white cardstock into your machine, then go ahead and click send. And then we're going to go back out to the design menu. We're going to select the yellow layer and go to your send menu. Now this is the darker yellow, so we're going to deselect the pink. We're going to select the darker yellow. Then we need to change our material. I'm going to hit the drop down menu and I'm going to change it to 65-pound cardstock, cut setting. Make sure everything else is deselected. And if you look down here, our numbers are right. And then we're going to make sure that the right color cardstock is loaded on a light grip mat. And we're going to load it into our machine and we're going to click send. Then we're going to go back out to the design menu and we're going to remove that layer off of our mat. And now I'm going to do the card backing. I'm going to load that on our mat. Then we're going to go over the send menu. Now here's where it's going to get a little bit different. So the card is actually the lighter yellow. So we're going to deselect that darker yellow. We're going to select the lighter yellow. We are also going to select the black. And then don't forget to change your material. So for the yellow here, we're going to choose the drop down menu. We're going to choose 65-pound cardstock. Make sure you choose the cut setting. And then for the black, we're going to choose the drop down menu. And we're going to also use that custom cut setting. But we're going to use the score setting this time. So 65-pound cardstock score setting. I always cut my score lines first, so I will deselect the yellow. And now it's only going to kiss cut this line down the middle. It's going to do that first. So it's showing here with this one selected that our cut settings are a blade depth of 1, a force of 6, 1 pass, a speed of 5. No line segment overcut. It's not needed here. And this is going to just create a kiss cut to fold our card in half. Once we've loaded our cardstock into the machine and it's on a light grip mat, we're going to go ahead and hit send. And it's going to cut the score line only. Don't unload the mat from your machine because we're going to go ahead then and deselect the score line once it's done. We're going to choose the card backing. That's this light yellow. And make sure that our 65-pound cardstock cut setting is there. And you can tell that it's changed down here to a blade depth of 6. Now we're going to hit send again and it's going to cut the perimeter of this card. When we're done with that, we're going to go back out to our design menu. We're going to take the card off of the mat and then we're going to go ahead. We're going to have to change our page size now because this is on 12 by 12 paper. So to change our page size, we're going to go up to the page setup menu and we're just going to click in these width and height boxes and we're going to change it to 12 by 12. And then we're going to hit enter and you can see that it filled out our canvas now. We can close our page setup menu. Now we can drag our envelope onto the page and then we can go to the send menu. Again, the envelope is the lighter color yellow. Now here's where you just needed to consider what you're doing. I did go ahead and make my envelope from a heavy patterned paper. So you'll have to just decide what material you're using to create your envelope. You can make it out of 65-pound cardstock. It'll just be a heavier envelope. Or you can change it to, like if you click the drop down arrow, you can type in, let's type in paper and see what comes up. So they have different types of paper down under here, like pattern paper, medium 65. That might work for I used a heavier pattern paper. That would probably work nicely for that. So let's go ahead and select that one. That's a built-in setting. I didn't create that one. So you can see it changed the pattern paper here. This preset that they have for heavy pattern paper, they have it cutting at a blade depth of 3, a force of 30, 1 pass, and a speed of 5. So you may want to experiment with that a little bit. We have score lines on this, so we're going to do the score lines first. So I'm going to deselect that, and then I'm going to select the black, and it says 65-pound cardstock score setting. I only have the black selected, and it did bump it down to a 1, so I know it's just going to do a kiss cut on this. I'm going to hit send. Make sure your mat is loaded in your machine with your material on it, and then hit send. And then don't unload your mat. Leave it in the machine. We'll deselect this score line. We're going to reselect the pattern paper and double check our settings down here have changed. And then we're going to go ahead and hit send. And that's it. We have at that point cut all of the layers in our project. So I'll see you over at the assembly video.